Hello everyone and welcome to Total War Through the Ages. In this episode we're going to be defending our hard-won ground, or not that hard-run, but you get what I mean. We're going to be defending the settlements that we've captured as part of our Northern Offensive. Which, by the way, I've been referring to the Northern Offensive, and I will continue to refer to it for a while, because the Northern Offensive essentially is everything I'm counting of our armies advancing in the north, up until the point where I specify that the Northern Offensive has ended, which I will do at some point. But here we have, this is Trier, the settlement of Trier. I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's, a well-known thing. I do not pronounce names correctly. I have problems with it. But we're defending it from, of course, the Britons trying to take it back, but we're not going to let them have it. At least not without a decent fight. So, this overall is actually we are kind of running low. Not running low. We're running a little bit short. As you can see, quite a few of our units are pretty weak at this point, and we haven't been able to replenish them. Now, of course, the Hastati, that's because you can't train Hastati anymore, so we cannot retrain them to replenish the units. However, our Legionary cohorts and our Praetorian cohorts are both very weak. In fact, the Praetorians are down to barely any guys at all. But overall, we're still they still do a decent amount of work for us in this battle. But it is worth noting that our better tier, our top tier troops are starting to take a toll from obviously the entire campaign on the way up to capture the settlement, and of course from the several sieges that we've had to fight and had to endure defending it to maintain our hold on it. So I will be, the goal is to try and in the over the course of the next several turns to try and bring some reinforcements to this place. Not so much just to reinforce this city itself, but more so to bring up a new army so that we can actually start fighting the Britons on our terms rather than, again, having to defend. Because I don't want to get into the same thing that happened at Narbu, Mardius, and Massilia. I don't want the same thing that happened with those two cities, where the Britons kept attacking us and we were basically constantly being besieged and constantly having to defend, so that we could never actually gain momentum to push them back and begin an offensive. And it took us a while, and we were kind of stuck in that slump for quite a while. A lot longer than we needed to be. So I'm wanting to avoid that here, and obviously the way to avoid that is by getting a second army to come and do that, and we're currently working on that. We have a general with the first few units of an army in northern Italy, around the same area that this army that we used to conquer Trier originally formed up. So we're having a new army that's starting to be formed. We're starting to recruit units and send it to it, but we haven't quite done that yet. Sorry about that, had a cough. Of course, we can't go through an episode without being interrupted by a cough or something like that for some reason. Anyway, now I haven't been commenting that much on this battle because this battle is very similar to most of the battles. And in fact, I may actually start cutting out a lot of the sieges, particularly the ones that are just defending the same settlement over and over again. I might just cut it down to show you the start and then show you the end, because they are all starting to be very samey. And I started kind of to notice this as I was editing. So I did leave this one in mostly so that I would have plenty of time to talk about our plans as a campaign, for the campaign as a whole of prepping. But overall, commentating on this siege, and actually kind of in the battles in general, have started to feel very similar, at least in the cases where the army composition is very similar, or in this case where the sieges, where we're just defending the same place over and over again. So again, I am probably going to start kind of edit some of that stuff down while it is very samey, particularly against the Britons, because we're just seeing more of the same. There's not very much new. And in fact, this battle is a perfect example of that. Sorry about that, had another cough as well. So here we're going to be moving into the siege. This is our faction leader defending. I do not recall the name of this settlement, but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember the name of this settlement. However, we are going to be defending it. Now, this siege was a little bit interesting, and I actually was curious to have this one in here, because we actually were getting attacked from two different directions, which is not something I don't believe we've actually ever had to deal with. Now, in this instance, the army that was attacking us on the far side only consists of 2 units, so it's not really that threatening. But the fact that we had to split our forces on opposite sides of the settlement is something very new to me, and I haven't had to do that yet in Rome. So in Rome Total War. So I just kind of want to point that out. It is a little interesting, and it didn't, again, like I said, it didn't really affect me in this battle because the force on the other side was only 2 units, and they weren't, it was very, very weak, a very small force. It wasn't threatening at all, or was at least that threatening. But I did make me think about, man, it would be a little bit. It wouldn't be great if we had actually got attacked by 2 decent-sized armies from opposite directions. That could definitely cause problems, particularly just because I'd have to be splitting my attention between the two. So I'd have to pause a lot more. Well, I mean, I already do pause a lot in the sieges, but it would be interesting. I'm curious to see how it would play out. I kind of hope that it never happens, obviously, because it could potentially be. I mean, it would be bad for us, but overall, I am kind of interested. Curiosity killed the cat. Well, I have a morbid curiosity and potentially my own demise, with seeing how the AI could do it. But as you can see, it's just 2 units, and they're not even full units either. They're both been beaten the crap, had the crap beat out of them, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, and the enemy sent in this one unit of chariots, which I was a little surprised by, because they usually don't send the chariots in right along with the infantry. The chariots hold back and aren't sent in until a little bit after the infantry have already gotten in. Now, as you can see here, my general is cut out on those chosen swordsmen. I'm going to try and avoid just getting in a prolonged fight there. And yeah, now we see the enemy chariots coming in, which is more kind of timing-wise what I'm used to. I'm used to seeing them coming in after their infantry's already been engaged for a bit. But here we're going to be considering out, and we actually had a couple units kind of come out of the breach there, and I didn't catch them in time to keep them inside, so we're going to just use them as a small flanking force, because I'm not too worried about that. I'm pretty confident in the ability of our troops, since we have a decent number of legionaries. I'm fairly confident in our legionaries being able to hold the line while our flanking force comes in and does some work from the rear. So we do kill the enemy general there. I believe that was the enemy general on the far side of the tiny 2-unit army, but I am not 100% sure. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this battle. This battle is, again, very straightforward. It's also interesting the AI didn't do a great job of coordinating their attacks there. The AI kind of screwed up there, but overall, we do take a lot of casualties, actually. We actually lose a decent number of guys in this siege, which of course is not great. Now, fortunately, we will be able to replenish the early legionaries and also be able to not only reinforce but also recruit more early legionaries here. I believe we have the required buildings to do that. However, our legionaries will not be able to. In fact, as I kind of mentioned earlier in this episode, our legionaries are kind of one of the problems is that we're running low on legionaries, and the supply line, I say supply line, the only place that we can currently recruit legionaries in Europe itself is our capital, and I believe, no, yeah, it's just our capital. Our capital is the only settlement we have in Europe. Again, I believe one or two of I believe Carthage, I know Carthage in North Africa can recruit legionaries. Actually, I don't know if they can. Either Carthage or the settlement just south of Carthage. One of those can recruit legionaries, I know for a fact. One of them can. But the only place we have on Europe is again our capital. So we're kind of starting to, spread thin a little bit. And oh hey, new general. That's always nice. Always need more generals. You can never have too many generals. But yeah, this was the army I was talking about. We're starting to form it up. And just, again, hopefully be able to send that up to help relieve Trier. Now, this army right here was originally intended to be landed in Europe and aid in the northern offensive. However, it is going to be diverted to a different location, because I have noticed that the Spanish city, right there on the coast, southeast corner of the Iberian Peninsula, that settlement had no army in it earlier. So, keeping that in mind, I'm going to land an army there to hopefully try and take it. And that will also actually be, we will be covering that, I believe, in the next episode or the episode after. I'm not sure which one it's going to fall into. Or actually, it might fall into the end of this episode. But anyway, this is going to be kind of the beginning of our Spanish offensive, or the conquest of Iberia. That might be what we refer to it as. Either way, we are going to be conquering, and here I was actually trying to get my army there to conquer it now before the Spanish send an army in to like reinforce, but either way, it's kind of whatever. On the next turn, though, we skip to the next turn, we are able to conquer it. So this is the first step in the conquest to Iberia, or the conquest of Iberia, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. And here we have, again, this army, which we're going to be sending up to Trier. I believe I send this to Trier. It's hard to remember because I know I was planning on sending it to Trier to launch an offensive from there, but I don't remember. I may end up, I think I have trouble sometimes remembering what because sometimes like I have a plan and then I switch it partway through. But yeah, so there, we've come to the end of this episode already. But thank you all for watching, and be sure to check back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. That is right, we have changed the days that that Total War Through the Ages are released on, but check back on all of those days for more Total War Through the Ages, and as always, thanks for watching.